We have, to date, kept over 223 tons of material out of the landfill through this program. So it's another reason why I love it so much, is because you get to see the tangible, real impact happening.
The transformative power of cities to spark change. Hi, I'm Mia Quinn, host of Sustainably Speaking. Today we're in Austin, Texas, and we're going to find out how this thriving cultural and innovation hub is discovering and implementing creative solutions to increase sustainability and promote circularity. And to talk more about this, I'm joined by Maddie Morgan, Circular Economy Program Manager for the City of Austin. Maddie, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Yeah, super excited to chat with y'all.
Tell us about Austin. How would you describe the city, the people, the lifestyle?
So Austin is an innovative city, and sustainability is at the heart of a lot of what we do. We have a thriving tech scene, art scene. We have great green belts and spaces to get outside and enjoy nature. Also, recently we're named the 10th largest city in the US.
Wow.
Which is really crazy, given that Austin isn't necessarily a historical city. We're, quote unquote, newer city, but with that growth comes a lot of challenges and also opportunity as well.
So you've been working for the City of Austin for several years. More recently, you're overseeing Austin's Resource Recovery Circular Economy Program. What's the goal?
So Austin Resource Recovery is essentially the city's solid waste department. We rebranded 12 years ago or so to be Resource Recovery. As a department and as a city, our goal is to reach zero waste by 2040, which means reducing the amount of trash sent to landfills by 90%. And then somewhat in parallel is a citywide goal that was set recently, reaching net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2040 as well. As a department, our goal is to provide essential services to protect people and planet. The work that I get to do within the Circular Economy Program, we want to make Austin the most vibrant circular economy in the US, where materials are reused, repaired, shared, and recycled to their fullest extent within the local economy.
So what does your Circular Economy Program do?
I love to describe it as we have 3 verticals. Our first vertical is around circular business support and innovation. We provide one-on-one assistance to entrepreneurs in circular businesses and nonprofits. So think reuse, thrift, repair, rental, sharing, businesses that are recovering value. So recyclers or remanufacturers, upcyclers. We do things like pitch competitions. We have a new accelerator that we're going to pilot this year, really geared towards early stage entrepreneurs that want to get these types of businesses up and running. And then we just super connect.
That's awesome.
And then our second vertical is around circular behavior change. And so that's our public facing aspect. And we design programming we hope will encourage residents to support the businesses that we want to see grow and thrive. So we have an off-campus move-out program where we work with reuse organizations called Move Out ATX to keep stuff out of the landfill, give it a second life. We have an online directory called the Austin Reuse Directory where residents can find places to donate, buy used, repair, rent, kind of anything circular. We have, I think it's like over 600 entries in this directory. So the options are there. And then we have a whole repair programming series called Fix It Austin, where we have Fix It clinics. We have options for folks to come drop off items if they can't attend the Fix It clinic to hopefully get it repaired. We do workshops, virtual classes, things like that. And then our third vertical is leading by example. And so that's really looking internally at how the City of Austin as an organization can implement different circular principles and increase our circularity.
It's complex.
It is complex.
So many different pieces of it. How are you helping businesses redirect plastic to prevent it from going to the landfill or worse, getting in the environment?
But we do have a couple of tools that we try to leverage, making sure that plastics are ending up in the recycling stream. We have a universal recycling ordinance that requires all businesses and multifamily properties to provide convenient access to recycling for their tenants or employees. That's one way of making sure that our 1 through 7, our aluminum and glass and paper are ending up in recycling. We also have a zero waste rebate that we offer to businesses for going beyond our minimum ordinance requirements. And then we also have a recycle and reuse drop-off center that's open to anyone in the city of Austin. We do get smaller businesses that bring single stream materials there if they have like a surplus of something one week. We also take film and foam there as well. So you have to take an extra step to make sure that your plastic film and foam are getting recycled, but we do have that option in our community, which is great.
That is really great. Okay. So we talked a little bit about businesses. Let's talk about materials coming out of businesses, like maybe byproducts that they're producing. What are you doing to help with that?
So we reached out to businesses, manufacturers, and tried to find these byproduct materials coming out of their operations. And those businesses pitched their material to entrepreneurs. And the entrepreneurs were tasked with coming up with a business solution for how to repurpose or upcycle or regrind that material into a new product. And there was prize money involved as well. One that I love to talk about is badges that you scan to get into an office building. And when you print those and you punch out the cards, you have the skeleton left. And it was made of a polycarbonate plastic, which is a pretty valuable plastic commodity. We had 2 different winners that year, sort of growth stage and a startup stage. The startup winner had proposed making eyeglasses. So they wanted to regrind that polycarbonate and use it to make eyeglasses that were more affordable. And actually polycarbonate is like a material that's used in eye frames already. So, we had that business, and in our growth stage, an existing business that makes a 3D printer, and they proposed using that polycarbonate as filament for their printers. And that really opened the possibilities for working with recycled materials, and it's become a main vertical of their business. And so this year, and we're really trying to focus on, rather than sort of upcycling or downcycling the material, using commodities as is. We've noticed in talking with businesses that there are commodities that they just can't process quickly enough. And can we find someone who wants to take this material and maybe even replace a virgin supply chain? So that's what we're piloting this year.
That's awesome.
Lots of cool ideas. For example, if there are glass vases coming out of a thrift store and they're not processing them or they can't sell them quickly enough. I mean, think about all the times you get a flower arrangement. What do you do with those vases?
I give them to charity.
Yeah, and nobody buys them, right? And so how could we help facilitate a partnership? Could we try to pull in some florists that might be interested, rather than buying brand new glass vases, just use these vases that are just
what they would make anyway, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
We use them once. I love it, and I love putting people together.
That's a lot of what we do, is just connecting and helping folks build partnerships with each other.
It's great. You have another program called Move Out ATX. Tell me about that.
So that's a project that really tugs at my heartstrings because it's one that I had the honor of starting.
Oh, wow.
We started it back in 2018, and the problem we were trying to solve was there's 18,000 students that live off campus near the University of Texas, and their lease agreements, almost all of them end on July 31st. So there's this mad dash for anyone that was still living in their apartment through the summer to get out of their apartment. So what ended up happening is all this furniture, clothing, home decor, any food, cleaning supplies, any kind of reusable item you could think of is ending up in trash dumpsters, on the curb.
Oh gosh.
And a lot of this material still had life left in it. And so we work with anywhere between 6 and 10 reuse organizations, both for-profit and nonprofit, and we take pretty much anything that somebody else might want. And we have, to date, kept over 223 tons of material out of the landfill through this program. So it's another reason why I love it so much, is because you get to see the tangible, real impact happening.
That is a very cool program. Did you know, because you'd been a student at UT and you were like, this is ridiculous?
Yes, that's where the inspiration came from. I was a student at UT, and it just blew my mind that students would just throw things away.
You talked about how there's a perception that recycling isn't really happening. From your position, you see what's really happening. And so how do you dispel that?
I think it's a tough question to answer sort of broadly. Austinites can feel assured that their recycling is making it to end markets. The reason for that is we have very robust MRFs here in Austin. And in those contracts, we have language around what materials they're required to accept. And we do audits on those contracts, checking their receipts, making sure they're selling the materials to end markets. Not all cities have that in place, but we do.
Are there takeaways or learnings that other cities could learn from you?
I think, yeah, the checks and balances system. The other thing being that our MRFs here have pretty state-of-the-art equipment. Like you hear a lot about when you go to waste conferences or talking to people from other cities, like, oh, glass is a huge problem. Like, how do we solve recycling glass? The technology that's available in our MRFs is advanced enough that we're capturing it and it's not a problem. We have that, but I do think leveraging contracts is a way to go about it for a city that doesn't own their recycling facility.
Let's talk about you. When did you realize you wanted to work in sustainability, and what motivates you?
I've never pictured ending up in the waste field. It just sort of happened. I have always been passionate about sustainability and trying to make this place that we all live a better one. I didn't know what I was going to do after I graduated from college. Ended up going into a master's program around sustainability, and it was the second year it had existed at this school. So it was an up-and-coming field. When I started in the industry, I think I just kind of got in the right place at the right time. It's funny that we're here at South by, because it's actually where some of my waste experience came from. I had gotten some project management experience working for this event diversion company that would go into events and like help trade shows break down. And all that stuff from trade show is like getting thrown away. And so we would go through and take checklists of like, okay, we think this stuff is going to be available at the end, and try to find people to come and take it. And we had a space and cleared it out in 24 hours. So that was one of the experiences I got that really excited me about the potentials of waste diversion. And what motivates me, I think, is knowing that the work that I get to do is impacting people, just seeing the tangible impacts, like knowing that what I'm doing makes a difference in our community and helps me wake up every day and be excited to go to work.
Well, no wonder you love your job so much. It's amazing and inspiring. Maddie, thank you so much for having us today.
Thanks, Mia. It's been a pleasure spending this time with you, and glad to have you guys in our city.
We love being in Austin, love seeing your city and hearing about what you're doing here, because you're doing amazing stuff here. And thank you to our listeners. Thanks for tuning in. If you have more questions, we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to hear about what you want to talk about next. I'll see you next time on Sustainably Speaking.